Around a land created by volcanic eruptions live some of the most determined, athletic, and charismatic dolphins on the planet. In a freezing fjord, bottlenose dolphins grow into giants to survive the icy cold water. Tiny Hector's dolphins socialize in a halo of sediment-heavy water. And common dolphins form a superpod on a search for food in this ocean of adaptable dolphins. On the east coast of New Zealand's South Island is the Kaikoura Peninsula. World-famous hunting ground for iconic marine mammals. Some just pass through, while numerous others are locals. "500 meters from the peninsula is the phenomenon that attracts them all here. 1,000 meters below the ocean's surface lies the Kaikoura Canyon. Here, ocean currents collide with the vertical sides of the underwater canyon, pushing water seething with nutrients upwards, which creates a year-round banquet for all the residents of this breathtaking coast. It's a winter morning on the Kaikoura coast. And it's rush hour. The commuters are Dusky Dolphins, one of New Zealand's most numerous dolphin species. This is the night shift, on their way home to rest. A massive pod comprised of up to 300 males, females, and youngsters. They've spent the night feasting on the canyon's riches, and now their bellies are full and they are ready to socialize. This cacophony of squeaks, squawks, and click bursts gives the impression they are all talking over one another, demonstrating the complex communication of this highly social species. Their excitement then manifests into the athletic displays these highly social dolphins are famous for. Duskies are considered one of the most acrobatic species of dolphins. And it's thought that this joyful leaping is practiced for synchronizing individuals to work together as a team. This extraordinary display reinforces their social connections and bonds them tightly as a pod, which is necessary for every aspect of dolphin life. Down in the southwest corner of the South Island, at almost 1.25 million hectares, Fiordland is world famous for the majestic beauty of its landscape. 14 fjords and their many branching arms slice into Fiordland, carrying salt water from the coast. But it's the influence of fresh water which makes life especially challenging for the southernmost bottlenose dolphins, which live here in water that can freeze over in winter. Fiordland bottlenose dolphins have adapted both physically and socially to survive these extreme conditions in the winter. Almost 4 meters long, these bottlenose dolphins are among the largest of their species. An adaptation which helps them survive the winter extremes. They are fatter than most bottlenose dolphins found elsewhere because they've developed extra insulating blubber. They've also evolved stubbier beaks and shorter fins and tail flukes to reduce heat loss through these extremities. Critically endangered, there are only around 200 Fiordland dolphins, divided into 3 populations. The geographic nature of the fjords isolates the populations from each other. So born in Doubtful Sound 6 months ago in early summer, this calf will most likely spend its whole life in the company of this same closed group. As members of the pod swim together, they gently touch each other with their fins. Their skin is super sensitive, and this intricate rubbing is a form of communication which reinforces their bonds. The intimacy of these Doubtful Sound dolphins is increased by their isolation. And as winter begins to bite in Fiordland, the collective knowledge of this close-knit group will be critical to the survival of the calf. Off New Zealand's North Island, in the middle of the Bay of Plenty, the country's most active volcano erupts from the sea. White Island has been spewing noxious fumes for the past 150,000 years. An acid lake bubbles in the crater, and plumes of toxic gases rise skywards, creating a hell on Earth. And in the waters surrounding this volcano, the nomads of the dolphin world. Common dolphins are characterized by a low sloping forehead with a sharp beak. They are pelagic predators, meaning they roam the open ocean searching for prey. Numerous pods travel all around the top of New Zealand's North Island, some even venturing down into South Island waters. But in late winter, a family pod cruises through the nutrient-rich waters surrounding this volcano. The pod is comprised of 50 individuals, including offspring. This juvenile will be reliant on her mother's milk until about 18 months old, when she'll be weaned and become a member of the hunting party. If she wants her fill of fish, she will have to learn the secrets of how her pod catches its prey. Fiordland is one of the wettest places on the planet, with an average yearly rainfall of over 7 meters. It can rain here around 200 days a year. And the huge volume of water feeds countless rivers and streams. And spectacular waterfalls. In most river estuaries, currents, waves, and wind combine to mix the influx of fresh water with seawater. But inside the relatively sheltered fjords, freshwater sits on top of the denser seawater in a distinct layer. This top layer of fresh water ranges from just a few centimeters to 15 meters deep, and is much colder than the underlying salt water in winter and spring. It's this cold freshwater layer that might prove lethal to the bottlenose dolphin calf in this pod. The big adults with their extra blubber are well adapted to survive the chill temperature. But nearly 40% of their calves with less blubber will die in their first year, making Doubtful Sound the harshest habitat on the planet for young bottlenose dolphins. It's midwinter in Fiordland now, and in some places the water's surface lies in the chill of shadows all day. This is when the dolphins must move on to protect their calves. They leave the inner fjord, which will soon freeze over, and head for the warmer waters of the outer fjords, where they'll stay until late spring. It will take around 2 days for the Doubtful Sound pod to make this short migration. Off the east coast of New Zealand's South Island, the remnants of 2 ancient volcanoes form the colossal Banks Peninsula. To the west of this great peninsula, rivers cascade down from the southern Alps across the Canterbury Plains, delivering tons of sediment and nutrients which surround the headland like a halo. It's here in the numerous bays and coves which slice into the peninsula that a pod of one of the smallest and rarest marine dolphins find refuge. Most dolphins have a triangular-shaped dorsal fin, but these rounded fins belong to Hector's dolphins, found only in New Zealand's coastal waters. Named after 19th century New Zealand scientist Sir James Hector, adult dolphins grow up to 1.5 meters and weigh just 50 kilograms. This calf is half that size. The water around Banks Peninsula can be murky due to the sediments transported here by the rivers. But these dolphins have little lungs and prefer water no deeper than 100 meters. This pod is made up entirely of females and calves. Hectors give birth every 2 to 4 years. So this female won't be ready to mate until her calf is weaned in 18 months. Meanwhile, the females communicate with each other in this murky, sediment-heavy water. Unlike most dolphins, Hectors communicate via clicks only, with no whistles. These clicks are delivered at such a high frequency the human ear can't hear them, unless the audio is slowed down to 1/16 of normal speed. The meaning of their clicks is still a mystery, but they often get more talkative as they begin to play. Back in the waters close to New Zealand's White Island volcano, the shallow reefs are home to countless numbers of fish. Massive congregations of blue mau-mau school in swirling formations, all designed to protect them from predators. Huge kingfish stalk the mau-mau, and short-tailed stingrays cruise the seafloor like giant minesweepers, using electroreceptors to search for prey. Scorpionfish sit, motionless, camouflaging themselves into every background until they ambush their victims. The common dolphin pod doesn't have the advantage of a reef to attract fish. Their hunting ground is like a vast, empty desert. Finding prey here requires experience and echolocation. While whistles are used to communicate with members of the pod, it's their click bursts which travel through the sea in a series of sound waves that bounce off fish. This allows them to locate food much further away than their eyes can see. But even with this advantage, it can take a long time to find food. The family pod grows hungrier by the hour. On their hunt for food, they will have to seek out others of their kind. In Fiordland's wintry waterways, the doubtful sound bottlenose dolphin pod makes its way towards the warmer fjords near the coast. To avoid the cold, adult dolphins can dive below the frigid freshwater layer for 4 minutes. But calves can't hold their breath as long as their elders. And must spend more time at the icy surface to breathe. Beneath the 10-meter freshwater layer, it's as dark in the fjord as it is at 100 meters deep in the open ocean. This is the reason why an array of weird and wonderful light-shy creatures, some usually found in the deep sea, make their homes here in the relative shallows of Fiordland. There are delicate black corals, which grow up to 5 meters across. Black coral hardly seems appropriate as a name, for this coral is ghostly white. It's actually the skeleton that is black, beneath the white skin. Sea pens perform a sort of ballet, dipping and pirouetting to align themselves with the current. For an audience of glum-faced blue cod. And then there's the field of strawberry sea cucumbers. which add a splash of color to the fjord floor. A bizarre leather jacket hones in on colonies of tiny filter-feeding animals, which live on reefs grown over tree branches which have fallen from above. These are wax ascidians, sometimes known as the macaroni cheese of the fjords. Leather jackets love to nibble on them. Tree debris from above also provides perfect cover to blend into, which Fiordland's octopuses take advantage of, as bottlenose dolphins are known to hunt them. These fallen trees also inject nutrients into the marine ecosystem as they decompose. This hagfish is normally a denizen of the deep sea, but in the fjords, incredibly, it relies on the forests above for around half the nutrients in its diet. There is another creature that lurks in the darkness of the fjords, which can be a threat to dolphins, especially the youngsters. Seven gills belong to a family of sharks which has been around for 190 million years. Most modern sharks have 5 gill slits. 7 gill slits are indicators of the shark's primitive lineage. Big 7 gills are known to spy hop, to look for seals on the shoreline. This one shows off a jagged top row of teeth designed to saw off flesh from bone. And inside its powerful bite, the 7 gill slits are clearly visible. The bottlenose pod passes safely by the 7 gills for now and arrives at the destination. In this fjord near the coast, the calf will be able to survive the cold. Just outside the fjords, the water temperature of the open ocean is even warmer, but Fiordland's dolphins rarely venture out. Great white sharks also cruise Fiordland's coastline, opportunistically hunting the energy-rich blubber of dolphins. In the bays and coves around Banks Peninsula, warmer days and an abundance of fluffy babies mark the beginning of spring. Below, on the Flea Bay seafloor, local blue cod strike at anything that moves, while carpet sharks use smell and electroreceptors to sneak up on prey. It may look like the blue cod won, but the little shark seeks revenge. This camouflage crab has disguised itself exceptionally well with marine plants. It even sways like the algae on its shell in an effort to blend in. In contrast, this camo crab is somewhat underdressed. And this is the consequence. Fortunately, he's still too big for blue cod mouths. In the warming surface layer, this Hector's dolphin calf is about to learn an important lesson. The pod celebrates the changing seasons with play, which looks like fun, but reinforces their social bonds. One dolphin releases a stream of bubbles, which signals the beginning of the game. This looks like a competition to see who can leave the most bubbles in their slipstream. But there is a theory that bubble blowing can be an expression of excitement or even aggression. It's been described as the human equivalent to shouting. But whether it's playful or aggressive depends on the context. "160 kilometers north from Banks Peninsula, the Kaikoura Dusky Dolphin pod is also socializing. Unlike their little cousins, the Hectors, Duskies are super playful. Their favorite pastime is the seaweed game. They seem reluctant at first, but all it takes is one dolphin to get the pod going. The first move is a pectoral fin pickup with a fancy tail flick. And it's game on. All this play reinforces the pod's social bonds, especially when they copy each other's moves. One show-off displays a more complex technique, where seaweed starts on the pectoral fin and via a body wrap is transferred to the tail. Often during a seaweed game, individual males and females will pair up. Duskies become sexually active between 7 and 8 years old. Potential partners follow close and touch each other to signal interest. Dusky dolphins are known as a promiscuous species, in that they mate with multiple partners for social reasons, not just to produce offspring. Mating is one of the few reliable indicators of gender, as the female is always on top. As the dusky pair mate, something special happens on the Kaikoura coast today. A pod of common dolphins turns up, and suddenly, two quite separate species interact and socialize. Duskies are distinguished by their small head with virtually no beak, whereas the commons have a much longer beak. Hybrids can result between these species, with a Dusky's coloration and a common dolphin's beak. But whether these offspring can reproduce remains unknown. With the encounter over, the athletic Dusky Dolphins celebrate. While in the north, their common dolphin cousins' numbers grow as they continue their hunt. On the flanks of the White Island volcano, thousands of Australasian gannets form dense colonies. There's nowhere to hide from the blazing sun. The adults pant to keep cool. While the newly hatched balls of fluff hide in their parent's shadow. This one revealing the first stage of flight feathers growing in. Both parents also keep busy on a constant hunting rotation to keep their offspring well fed. Each gannet takes to the sky to seek food and the rich hunting ground on their doorstep. Gannets have exceptional vision and can see fish near the surface. But to find their preferred food, gannets often band together and look for a dolphin pod to lead them to prey. In no time, the hunting gannets spy the common dolphin pod, who've joined other family pods on the same hunting mission. Over a day, their numbers increase until hundreds of dolphins sweep the ocean searching for prey. This is now a superpod. Which can be a bit overwhelming for a 6-month-old. With so many new dolphins around, keeping up with mum becomes difficult. But the dolphins have an audible solution for this problem. Each dolphin has its own unique whistle. So when the juvenile is lost in the crowd, it calls out to mum. And the two reunite. It's a midsummer morning in the heart of Banks Peninsula. And a small Hector's dolphin pod socializes in Kaikoura Harbour. Today, these females are joined by a pod of males. And as they communicate with their specialized clicks, it seems the dolphins are ready to mate. Courtship for Hector's dolphins includes chasing each other, displaying the belly, and touching while swimming. If this mating is successful, a calf will be born in up to 12 months. Female Hector's dolphins have a relatively slow rate of reproduction and will only have one calf every 2 to 4 years. The stakes are very high for each female to ensure the survival of every calf. Off the Kaikoura Peninsula, Dusky Dolphins share their neighborhood with a colony of New Zealand fur seals. They too are attracted by the exceptional fishing here, which means everyone is well nourished. Fur seals are superbly equipped to hunt in these waters. They fly through the water powered by thick muscle and front flippers. While loose-moving vertebrae and rear flippers enable them to perform fluid acrobatics. They're called fur seals because 2 layers of fur keep them warm in water that pulls heat from their bodies 20 times faster than air. New Zealand fur seals can dive the deepest of all fur seals, up to 230 meters, and stay down the longest, often over 10 minutes. They are among the most masterful divers on the planet. This one has caught one of its favorite foods, a common octopus. Flinging it around like this helps break it into bite-sized pieces. In Fiordland's waterways, the spring sun breaks through. At the mouth of Dusky Sound, a group of Fiordland skinks have roused themselves from winter dormancy to soak up the sun's rays. They're observed by New Zealand's rare alpine parrot, a kea, who will investigate any potential meal. But as the air temperature rises, paradoxically, the influx of meltwater from thawing snow means the water temperature in the fjords is now at its lowest. Fiordland's dolphins must be smart in the hunt for food. Their prey can be scarce and is limited to certain locations within these murky outer fjords. Big schools of butterfly perch congregate around reefs where plankton is abundant. And spotties, a known favorite of the dolphins, are found in shallower waters. Despite poor underwater visibility beneath the dark freshwater layer, Fiordland's dolphins are well equipped for hunting here. Like commons, all bottlenose dolphins use whistles to communicate. But when they hunt, it's all about the clicks. The pod emits a stream of clicks as they roam the depths. which bounce off the submarine contours of the fjord and fish, allowing the dolphins to acoustically map their surroundings and locate their prey. In Milford Sound, this pod has learned to use the shape of their iconic environment to their advantage. The dolphins search for prey along the fjord's sheer rock face. With their prey sighted, the dolphins charge en masse and herd fish in front of them into one of many small coves in the rock wall. But Fiordland's dolphins face a problem ocean-going dolphins don't. The rocky fjord walls echo their whistles. So they pause between whistles and wait for the echoes to fade, which means the pod can communicate effectively during a hunt. In New Zealand's Bay of Plenty, a gannet train follows a super pod of common dolphins on a hunt for food. Out of the blue appears their target, a huge school of sauri. These small fish roam the ocean in a loose ball. When predators arrive, they tighten ranks. The young calf stays close to its mother to witness the pod's hunting strategy. In a highly efficient operation, some dolphins herd the ball, while others take turns plowing in to snatch fish. The female demonstrates to her calf how it's done. Panicked fish swim toward the surface in a futile effort to escape. But danger also lurks above the waves. The gannet train has arrived. The common dolphins continue to herd the bait ball of sauri, driving their prey closer to the surface. Just what the gannets have been waiting for. These birds are plunge divers, free falling at up to 145 kilometers per hour. Any last-minute corrections could prove to be lethal. But gannets have evolved airbag cushions in their chests and necks that help absorb the force of their death-defying dives. They are one of the few species that can plunge dive and wing flap underwater to chase prey for 40 seconds. Gannets and dolphins work the ball of sauri until all have their fill of food. A perfect example of a beneficial association between two species in the natural world. Witnessing hunts like this allows the young dolphin to hone the skills it will need to survive in the future. Summer in Fiordland. And finally, the water in the inner fjords has warmed up. All Fiordland's bottlenose dolphins have returned from the outer reaches of the sounds to their inner fjord hunting grounds. This calf has survived the most dangerous time in its life, its first winter and spring. But it must still remain vigilant, as danger now lurks in the shallows. Close to the Dusky Sound pod is a place called Shark Cove. Over winter, the seven gills disappear from the fjords out to sea. But now, females congregate in this shallow bay. They're larger than the males, and this female is even bigger than usual. She's pregnant, and the scar on her flank could be a love bite from an amorous male. Remarkably, pregnant females carry upwards of 60 young for up to a year. There's a clear advantage to giving birth in Shark Cove's shallow waters. Her offspring will be safely out of reach from larger predators, such as their bigger brothers and sisters. The Dusky Sound bottlenose dolphins have learned to avoid such places. Just another strategy they have to allow all in this close-knit pod to survive among the shadows and lofty peaks of this special place. In the waters around Banks Peninsula, a calf stays close to its mum. It's older now, but it will suckle from its mum for another 12 months until it's ready to venture into these murky waters on its own. As the afternoon sun moves over the seaward Kaikoura ranges, the Dusky Dolphin's play takes on a more purposeful mood. Tail slapping looks like fun, but this could be the signal that it's time to commence the evening's work, to hunt deep in the Kaikoura Canyon. The ability of New Zealand's dolphins to learn and pass on knowledge is paramount for every aspect of life. Whether it's strengthening bonds through play, learning the ropes of romance, navigating a hostile environment, or discovering how to hunt. Every dolphin relies on the ways of the pod. And it is through their never-ending teamwork that they have become so successful.